Wherever you are, I would like to welcome you to Let's Talk with Pastor Ngwaru show. On this particular show, we address issues of marriage, we address family, we touch various aspects of life, including health, religion, spirituality, leadership development. This is like your one-stop show for everything that may be very important to human development. And therefore, I would like to welcome you in a very special way for joining me one more time this evening. And for tonight, our topic is 4 killers of communication. 4 killers of communication. I'm sure when we talk of killing, we are putting something to rest. We are actually making something very invalid. And at the end of the day, this thing does not speak to you because we have actually killed it. And our joy tonight, or maybe our business tonight, is to actually find out exactly how do people go about killing communication. I've basically picked about 4 aspects or 4 factors that I think work to deaden communication between people or between parties and what have you. And I also know very well that I could have picked quite a number of things. This is a very wide topic. You are not able to limit it to just 4 aspects. But for the purposes of our discussion tonight, we are basically going to be looking at those 4 factors that I think are injurious to communication. And before we can go to our 4 items that tend to destroy communication, it is very important in context to be able to then have a working definition of what communication is. Like I've already said, this is a much broader topic, but I want to restrict communication tonight to where you have to kind of send a message about your thoughts, send a message about your feelings to another person or to another party. And you want what you are feeling exactly in your heart, what you are feeling in your heart, what is going on in your brain is exactly what you want the other person to hear. So in other words, truthfully, you are saying, this is how I am feeling, and this is how I am thinking. This is what is going on in my brain. And you communicate that message to another person. And the joy of communication, if it is effective, is that the feedback you get from the other person tends to confirm that, yes, I got the message. I now understand how you are feeling. I understand how you are thinking, or the idea that you are trying to put across. When that happens, then we are saying that communication is taking place. When the feeling that is in me is communicated by me and the other person understands it in the same light, then communication is very effective in that regard. But I would like to say that if there are psychologists who are listening right now, or counselors who are listening right now, and maybe communication teachers, they will actually tell you that communicating and communication is a big problem in the relationships. Yes, the ideal is there. I am feeling, I am thinking, and I am expressing it to the other person. But sometimes the message gets to the receiver in a distorted way. Or sometimes the one who must hear what we are saying are not quite hearing. There are distortions in their hearing. They're not picking exactly what we are trying to communicate and what have you. But what I'm doing tonight is that I want to look at these 4 killers of communication from the perspective of the sender. You are the one who is feeling. You are the one who has got these thoughts and you want to communicate them. But the manner in which you are doing it tends to then kill communication, where at the end of the day, you don't seem to communicate what you want to communicate, but you end up communicating something totally different, and the message is lost. And whatever it is you want from the other person, you can't get because you are not actually being able to send the message across. That's what we want to discover tonight, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who feel like you don't understand me. You don't know what is going on in my heart. You don't know what is going on in my life. And this is a big problem. But we need to find out exactly some of the factors that are responsible from the primary person, the primary sender of the message. When we talk of killers of communication, I'm basically looking at factors that inhibit you from being true to yourself. Please get this right, because if you miss it, you'll have lost the whole lesson. And I'm basically saying here, communication is killed when there is an inhibition to communicating exactly that which you want to communicate. If you want to say, I am not happy, but somehow you fail to communicate that. So in that regard, communication has died. What are some of those things that definitely will kill communication or does kill communication? Like I said, I would like to just look at 4 of them. The first one that I want to pick here is fear. Fear. Fear kills communication. And of course, I want to believe that every one of us will understand that fear is actually a survival instinct. It is a survival reflex, which is bent towards self-preservation and self-protection. If there is any danger in the environment, the human body and the human mind, and this goes across species, there's a tendency of wanting to protect yourself. And I'm sure we have met some insects. When you touch it, it will just appear like it's dead. And it believes like, I think you know I am dead, so you can go away because I've already died and whatever. Every animal has a way of protecting itself. Every species has a way of protecting itself. So fear is one of those things that goes on into our minds. And when it does get there, what it does is it puts us on the high alert, where you now need to pay respect to the risks that are around you and make sure that you survive and you protect yourself. When you take then this to communication, we are saying, if there is a feeling that you want to communicate to someone, and there's a thought that you want to communicate to someone, but you feel that there are risks involved, that you may be free to speak, but you may never be free after speaking. So because there are risks involved, chances are you may choose not to communicate exactly what you want to communicate, and you change the message. And then you then send an alternative message which keeps you safer and which actually avoids conflict and which will avoid any fighting, any confrontation, and there's quietness. So you now have an option of, what is it that I really need in the situation? Do I want to tell this person what I feel? Do I want to tell this person what I think? But if I tell them what I think, this is what their reaction is going to be. And I'm not happy with their reaction. It has got these risks involved. Let me give you examples, possibly in a real life situation. I've discovered in the pastorate, and for those of you pastors who are listening to this and what have you. You know, sometimes you may be a pastor of a church that is financially able, viable, and everything is going on very well. And the members are supporting the programs and what have you. And because you depend so much on the income that comes from members, and maybe you are running a ministry on your own and what have you. And sometimes you may actually calculate that. Rebuking members, helping members, being forthright with members may actually affect the finances and what have you. So what do you do at the end of the day? You are going to preach sermons that people are going to enjoy every Sunday or every Saturday. Then it becomes a joyride. People are not challenged. People are not confronted. People are not pushed to transformational ministry. Because for you, once you do that, you are afraid that you lose favor with those who are financing the program. And then you begin to placate, and this you pretend that things are okay, when in actual fact, you know, deep down in your heart, the message the church must hear is this. The message that changes people is this. It's not only pastors who go through that kind of challenge. We also have a situation where if you come from a political point of view and you belong to a political party, let's say you are an MP, you are a member of parliament, and we are in parliament, and there are some misgivings that are in your party that must be rebuked, that must be challenged, and people must vote against it. You may have to wait sometimes to say, hey, if I go to the mic and speak against my own party, what are they going to think? What are they going to say? So at the end of the day, you may actually have a dysfunctional parliament that is full of MPs, but basically there is no real communication and accountability that is going on in there, because people are afraid. If I say this, these are the repercussions. And we have seen that in the first world, we have seen that in the second world, third world, wherever it may be. Sometimes we also have politicians who are afraid to represent what they think is good for the nation. But because they are afraid of the repercussions, they're not able to stand up and say the right thing. The worst case scenario comes in marriage, where you've got a husband and wife, and maybe one of you depends very much on this particular marriage for your survival, for your security, and for your everything. Maybe you're not the one who is working in the marriage. You are the one who is at home, and you are the one who is a recipient of the goodwill of him who is working and what have you. Or there may be some other imbalances that you may be feeling apart from money itself. You depend so much on this relation, and of course we should. But because your whole life hangs on it, and you believe in this whole thing, there are times when we simply placate and pretend things are okay. Because if I tell my husband exactly how I am feeling about this, what if he will respond this way? And then now you are beginning to manage your security issues and your fears. And at the end of the day, the whole communication that should reach your husband, that must reach your wife, is sacrificed in the process. I'd like to say before I leave this one that fear causes you not to experience your real self. It inhibits you from going far in terms of experiencing yourself because you are afraid. I like a statement that was offered during Biden's inauguration in the United States of America by a poet there. And I'm going to pick just a line from what she said. And she said, we have learned that quietness is not always peace. You know, you can actually placate, and you can choose to operate from fear, and then your bread is guaranteed. Your position is guaranteed. Your life is guaranteed. And it appears like everything is quiet and everything is going on well, and it can go for years. But unfortunately, it may be quiet from outside, but inside, there is war that is going on there. There's disgruntlement that is going on there. But the problem is you are afraid to unleash it because of the consequences that may be there. And please get me right. And I'm not saying there will be no consequences. Sometimes it is true. It is true when you speak, you run into problems. It's very true. It's very true. But in this world, we have had people that have made a choice. There are others that have made a choice of, I'll let the other person know how I feel and what I am thinking, and I'll leave it to them to decide how they are going to respond to me. And there are those that have said, I would rather be killed, I would rather be unhappy than to risk the consequence. So I'm not going to speak my mind. And then this creates what we call an unfinished emotional business, where on a yearly basis, you are piling up unresolved issues because you can't speak out. But the day it will burst, the day you will burst, all the banks of the river will break. And on that particular day, you may discover that the whole relationship can be lost. I want to go to the second one, which is low self-esteem. Low self-esteem or esteem. When we talk of low self-esteem, we are basically looking at people who have what we call self-dislike. Self-dislike. It's one thing being disliked by people, but I'm sure it's everything when you get to a point where you don't like yourself. You look at yourself in the mirror and you don't enjoy what you are seeing. You hate yourself, you reject yourself, you are unhappy with yourself, and you are actually caught up in self-blame. You wish you were not even there. You are not happy with who you are. But did you know, friends, that life is so interesting? Like I said earlier on, that look, there's this thing that we call survival. Even people who do not like themselves, who hate themselves, who regret being who they are, their brains are also wired to protect their ego from collapsing totally. And so, how do they do that? They engage in defense mechanisms where the brain will try to salvage the little that it has so that you don't actually deflate and perish while you are still alive. There are various ways that people can actually do in order to survive self-blame, self-dislike, and low self-esteem. They engage in compensatory behavior. In other words, you may do one or two ways. One of them may actually be you may actually overly seek approval from others. I've already mentioned the placating and also the element of fear and what have you. You look for approval in an extraordinary fashion. You want to overplease people, and you are not able to say no. You are quick to apologize, even when you are not supposed to apologize, because to you, an approval rating is more important than losing it whatsoever. So you may move in that particular direction where everything is yes, goes, yes, goes. Yeah, yes, yes. You can't say no to anything because saying no may actually exacerbate the self-rejection that you are having. We have other people who may not move in that particular direction, but will go into another direction. And the other direction that they may actually choose may be the direction that we may call antisocial behavior. And this is where You have a person now who believes, for me to be happy, I must cause some people to be unhappy the very same way I am doing. So you find now they are involved in a culture of blaming, which may actually be pathological. You have pathological blamers who, when the sun rises, they are on you. They are on someone because you feel bad about yourself, and you feel that by making other people feel bad, then it's okay for you. I'm sure we have met people that are like that, who are in a very sorry state. They are into behaviors that are very negative, and when they can attract attention that way, whether they know what is happening or they don't know what is happening, but it is feeding in their ego negatively. Instead of basically addressing that, look, there is a void in my life that I need to address. I am not happy with who I am. That's the message they want to communicate. I am not happy with who I am. I don't enjoy myself. But instead of communicating that message, and instead of seeking help in that particular area to address their low self-esteem, they want to bring everybody down. Messages some people may even send on WhatsApp, on social media, and what have you, and so forth. You can actually tell those people that are trained, and when you read somebody's messages on the WhatsApp, and you are reading on Facebook, or whatever the case may be, you can actually see that this particular person is suffering from gross low self-esteem, and there is a void in their lives. And in order to cover that void, they really want to cause a havoc, so that at the end of the day, they are not paying attention to their void. And they are actually finding joy in causing pain in other people. I'm sure some of you may actually identify individuals in your life that operate like that. You can also, maybe if you are the one, get it from me. When I know people do wrong things, they do wrong things. But the manner in which you want people to feel bad may in itself be a very big problem that can actually kill communication between you and the other people. How come you are the only one who gets offended on the daily basis? On the daily basis, it's only you who gets offended on the daily basis. Does it mean you do not do wrong? You know, sometimes we need to be very honest and true to ourselves and be able to tell ourselves, to say, look, I, Michael Ngwaru, have an ego problem. I don't like who I am. Whether it is because of my appearance, I don't know. Whether it is because of my circumstances, I don't know. There are many reasons why you will not love yourself, like yourself, and what have you. It's very important to be able to come face to face with that, and face that reality that you have a problem with yourself, and leave other people with their lives. It's very important to address that. So blamers, when you find somebody are always singing and shouting blames every day of their lives, the problem is not mainly you. The problem is with them. Inside them, there's emptiness. There is a void. They don't feel good about who they are. Number 3, I would like to look at something that I think is also a very big challenge. I want to look at what I would like to call avoidance. I want to look at avoidance. Avoidance also is another survival issue. It is an ego issue, and what have you, where you really want to protect yourself, because when you are pushed to account, you tend to collapse, and you cannot face the mistakes that you have done. You cannot face the issues that are before you. And so what do? You run away from yourself. You run away from issues and hoping that by staying longer, these issues are going to solve themselves. They'll be able to solve themselves. You believe time is going to solve the problem. In the first year, second year, third year, when it is 10 years, you think like people have forgotten. I don't think this thing is an issue anymore. But one reality that we have faced is that issues do not die easily. Issues do not die, they do not die easily. You may run away from them, but I tell you what, when you come back, you still find them waiting for you. This is something that a lot of people find themselves in. And like I've said, they will not want to be drawn to the discussion table. We need to discuss about that issue. They have no time for that. We need to discuss that particular issue. They have no time for that. Hey, we need to check about that behavior that you are engaged in. It's worrying some of us. Could we discuss that? You are not prepared for that. At the end of the day, of course, you find some people may actually engage in what we call instrumental anger. Instrumental anger. What do I mean by instrumental anger? I mean, you actually know that you are not angry, but you want to project anger so that you scare people away from addressing issues that need to be addressed. You will outburst, you go into rage and what have you, and all you are doing is you are using that particular anger so that your issues are not addressed. You are not made to account. And this is a very big challenge. A lot of people in relationships there, could be in marriages, it could be in families, and sometimes it could be in organization. You can actually belong to an organization that does not want to account, whose leadership may not want to account. It can be a political organization, it can be a business organization, it can be anything that you can ever think of. They will actually make it so scary, so fearful, that when you want to raise your hand in order to address issues, then it may cause a great deal of challenges. I'm sure we have seen in some parliaments in first world countries and what have you, where people fear to actually address these things and whatever, because some people can get angry, or there could be other threats and what have you. So avoiding issues definitely kills communication in that. While you think you run a normal life, you run a normal life. You want a normal life where there's happiness, where there's joy, where there's laughter, and yet at the same time, you don't want to discuss issues. So how do you think that laughter is going to come? How is that joy? Now, people cannot pretend for a long time. Yes, for once they may, but if the issues are not solved and you keep running away from the issues, surely, do you think you can get both? Is it possible that you can have peace and yet at the same time people are living in unsolved problems or challenges and they cannot make you account? So avoidance is an enemy to communication, because by running away, it puts everybody on a standstill until you are willing to discuss that matter. We have also known of husbands or wives that want to be intimate, and yet at the same time, there are these issues that are hanging, and the people are running away from them, and the whole quality of marriage can actually suffer, or the relationship can suffer because of that. I want to bring the fourth element. The fourth element is something that I took, I think, from another counseling book, child counseling, and it's called computer mentality. Computer mentality. And when we talk of computer mentality, we are basically addressing people that are Mr. Right and Mrs. Right. In other words, everybody else on daily basis are wrong, and you are the only one who is always correct. You are the only one who is always correct. And so that even if you were to call a meeting to say, you may share your ideas, what do you think about that? You actually know that you are lying to them. You are not going to respect what other people think. And this is a very big challenge where people end up saying then, if you call out a meeting, they will not even bring their brains, they'll bring their skulls. Then they'll sit there with their empty skulls and say, can you think about what do you think about this? And everybody's just quiet. Oh, are you hearing what I'm saying? Everybody's quiet. What? How do you expect them to even say anything when in actual fact they know they are wasting their time? It may appear like I'm only talking about things that happen in marriage and what have you. These things happen in organizations. You may actually have managers. We have no time for what other people think. And yet, at the same time, because you want to sell an idea, you simply say, what do you think, when you know that you are not prepared to entertain what everybody thinks, because everybody every time is wrong and you are the correct one. This is a very, very big problem. Like I said, I have a temptation, and I don't want to get into that temptation. When I begin to analyze, more especially the scenarios in the political world, and go to the first world and begin to see how politics is emerging in the political world. Let me not even get there, but I think you get the point that I am making. Mr. Right and Mrs. Right kill communication. They do kill communication. Yeah, they do kill communication and what have you. Before I go to the one that I said that this is the recommended one, the recommended way of communication, let me just reiterate what I've said so that you can appreciate when I begin to talk about the recommended communication style or pattern, you know where we are coming from. I've said from the beginning, I'm looking at communication as you have thoughts and your feelings that you want to communicate. And you know what those feelings are. You know what those thoughts are. You want to transmit them to another person through a communication channel. And when you do that, we say you have communicated when the other person understands you exactly in the manner in which you are feeling. You have done a good job to communicate your feeling. You have done a good job to communicate your thoughts. And then the other person says, is this what I am hearing? And you're able to say, yes, that's exactly how I feel. And this is exactly what I am thinking. So where do we go from here? At least you and the listener or the receiver of your message are on the same page and you can move forward. I've said that fear is a way of distorting that communication, so that at the end of the day, you are not communicating the real feeling in your heart, but you are busy managing fear and the consequences, and you're doing other things other than communicating what you need to communicate. I've also said that, look, you may actually be involved in low self-esteem and what have you. You don't like yourself and whatever. And instead of seeking help and communicating that, look, my husband, my wife, or my boss, or my colleagues, this is how I feel about this is what is going on in my life. Instead of communicating that message, whereby you may get assistance and help, because help is available, you then make it your goal to make everybody feel bad also. You then tend to feel good because people are feeling bad. We are saying that mode of communication where people are being blamed, denigrated, when things are happening and they are pulled down, you are not achieving anything, you are not solving a problem other than you want to feel good by making people feel bad. And I've also said that avoidance, when you run away from issues, you are not solving issues. When you come back, the issues will still be waiting for you. That's basically what we are saying. And that it will be pointless to want to run a normal life where the family is happy, the marriage is happy, the workplace is happy, the political party is happy, and yet at the end of the day, we are avoiding issues that, when solved, humanity can have a better life, people can have a better life, relationships can have a better life. And we are saying that avoiding issues is an enemy, not only to communication, but it is an enemy to humanity itself. Because humanity will not thrive for as long as people are not willing to address issues. And then, of course, I've told you that there's this thing that we call computer mentality, where you feel you are always the right one and everybody is in the wrong. And even if you ask people's opinion, you know you're wasting their time because you're not going to entertain any one of those. And people will get to know that this is who you are, and at the end of the day, they will not want to say anything. They'll just be there quiet and watch you do your own thing. It's very bad when life can get to that stage. And did you know, friends, that it does not matter who you are. It does not matter who you are. Every one of us fits in one of these four. And some people get all four, some people two, some people three, some people one. Or sometimes it is in its mild state. It is there, but it's not corrosive. It's not as toxic as it should be to the relationship. But somehow there's this element in you where you are struggling with the things that kill communication. Communication, for you to gain communication skills, it's a deliberate thing. It's an intentional thing. None of us goes to school to be taught how to relate, how to communicate. We are just born and we find we have siblings, we have wives, we have parents, we have everything, and we grow in this kind of thing. Yeah, you find you are there. Of course, there are those who have paid school fees. We have gone to communication schools and what have you and so forth. And even sometimes after going to those schools and you've done psychology, you still come back to relationships in a practical sense, and you still find that maybe fear factor is still an issue. So low self-esteem is still an issue, and avoidance is an issue, and the computer mentality is still an issue. Even when you are that exposed, this is how sometimes frustrating communication can actually be. And even after going through the highest of schools. But having said that, there are people that have managed to climb a rung higher, where they are involved in positive and effective communication. Positive and effective communication. And let me give a disclaimer right away before I get into it. Friends, it is not easy to communicate effectively in this world. Get it from me. It's not easy to communicate effectively in this world. This world is not designed for effective communicators, if I may say. I was reading from somewhere, I think it should, way back in the 1900s, and I'm sure I was still in Botswana. Then. I can't remember the book that I was reading, and it was actually saying that, look, our world is flowing normally because of self-deception. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say there. Our world tends to be normal because of self-deception. If we were to be truthful to each other, it may be chaotic. I read that and I said, what is this writer trying to say? That for us to have a normal world, people may have to engage in placating and what have you, and You have people withholding exactly what they want to say. You can't share your mind and whatever. And because we are not trading our real feelings and our real thoughts, things appear normal. Wait until you are true and honest to yourself and communicate that to other human beings. You may discover that your environment may change. And this is why people fear effective communication, because for a little while it does disturb their comfort zone. And because they don't want a disturbed comfort zone, they want to live in a world where they are afraid, they've got their fear, they avoid the things, because when they address things, their ego gets challenged, it gets risked and whatever. So basically then, what is the recommended communication style or pattern that we can ever find out there? I would like to call it liberated and liberating communication style. Liberated and liberating communication style. And by this I mean, first of all, you yourself are liberated. You are liberated. Your thoughts are liberated. Your feelings are liberated. Do you know it's very easy to liberate a country, but not necessarily a mind? Apartheid could have long gone, or maybe, I don't know, it may still be there in some other expressions and whatever, like other people would want to think. But you may actually find that much as there is democracy, but your mind itself as a person may actually still be in chains. American slavery could have long gone, but you may still have people who are not free yet to be fully human. You are not getting what I'm saying. You are not getting what I'm saying. Who are not fully yet to be fully human. We continue to remain at subhuman level. What do I mean by that? When I say subhuman level, what I mean is, if you cannot tell the world the truth about how you feel and how you think, then it means you are not experiencing yourself. You are human, but you are being limited in your humanness. And therefore, you need to be liberated. And let me say that the person who liberates you is yourself. It is only you who can deal with your fears. It's you. There's no one else who, no one, not even me, not even this program can help liberate you. This is one thing that you need to do on your own. To be true and honest to your feelings and to your thoughts, to get to a point where you are not afraid of thinking, you are not afraid of feeling, and to be able to share this with the world around you. I don't know if you are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Let's go in the Bible a little bit. If we're Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and King Nebuchadnezzar says to you, if you hear the sound, the lyre, the flute, the everything, the trumpet, you must kneel down and worship my idol. And you are a person who is always afraid of expressing yourself. How were you going to do it? You cannot stand before a husband and be truthful to yourself. You cannot stand before a parent and be truthful to yourself. You cannot stand before your boss and be truthful to yourself. How will you be able to stand before Nebuchadnezzar when there's a furnace that you are looking at? If you do not bow, you are getting into the furnace. What were you going to do? Someone once said that in this world, it's not about being safe, but it is about being truthful. And the Bible says, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. I tell you, I don't know with others. I really don't know with others. But let me tell you about myself. Let me tell you about myself. And I'm not trying to say that I'm an effective communicator. My family members will also tell you that maybe daddy is a computer, or maybe daddy is an avoider, or whatever it is, and so forth, a blame or whatever. I'm sure I've got my own flaws and whatever. But I would like to say that, look, in this world, there comes a time when you need to simply leave the consequences with the situation. Leave the consequences with those that are in control of consequences, because you don't. You don't. When you say the truth, you have no control over what will happen. And sometimes, even when you lie, you have no control over what is going to happen. And therefore, sometimes it's very necessary to then simply tell yourself, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and you're able then to tell King Nebuchadnezzar and say, King, we are not going to kneel down. We have not done it before. We are not going to do it now. We know there's a furnace waiting for us. We would rather get in the furnace than to be untruthful to our own feelings and to our own religion and to our own thinking. You know, when we talk of heroes in this world, if Mandela had feared the truth, he would have spent 25 years, 27 years outside of incarceration, but that would not have brought liberty to himself. That would not have brought liberty to himself. I feel like I may go to extremes a little bit, and I'm sure it's okay. It's okay to do that. These are some of the guys that actually inspire us, that the gentleman is in incarceration in Robben Island, but in his heart he's a free man. He is free to express himself. He is in prison, but he simply tells himself, I am a free person. I'm a free person. So we are saying, for communication to be communication that will transform governments, that will transform economies, that will transform church organizations and families, there is need within the human civilization, people that are prepared to pay the cost than to actually lie to themselves, lie to their own feelings, and lie to their own thoughts. People like that have been around in this world, and we read them in history books, we congratulate them, we celebrate, we have dates to honor some of them. And we are also saying that this person who is self-liberated, who has liberated himself, also needs to liberate others. If you have the guts to tell people how you feel and what you are thinking, a liberating person is a person who says to his world, to the world around, please, give me genuine feedback. Give me genuine feedback. A few days ago, I was talking to some member, and we were doing prayer counseling and whatever. And then I asked her, what did you like about this? And she told me. And then I said, what did you not like about this session? And please be honest with me. He says, Pastor, are you sure? The person is ready to tell me what makes me feel good. Oh, Pastor, this session was good in this and that, and I praise God for this and that. But when I said, tell me what you did not like, it's like, anyway, Pastor, this is it, and what have you? Let us help people to tell us the truth. If they don't like us, let them have the liberty of not liking us. If they are not happy with us, let's give them the liberty of expressing that they are not happy with us. They are not happy with what they are doing. We are looking for ambassadors who will not punish, liberated and liberating communication. When we tell you, when you ask us, guys, what do you think about this? And we tell you exactly what we feel, you don't need to punish people for telling the truth. Because then when you do that, you are punishing communication. It may even actually be a child. It may be a child. It may be a spouse. It may be an employee. It may be your boss. It may be the president of a country, the MP of the country. When we tell the truth, let us not punish the truth, because when we do that, we are punishing communication itself. Things will not move forward. Things will not happen. I know my time is slightly gone, and I need to start wrapping this thing up. There's another very, very big point that I would like to bring with this effective communication, and that is, because you are liberated in your mind is free. It can receive positive feedback. It can receive negative feedback without being ego challenged. And you feel good that people have given you feedback in both areas, positive and negative. You can actually receive positive criticism, and you can actually receive negative criticism and benefit much better from negative criticism than you benefit from positive criticism. You know, positive criticism only feeds into our ego, but the negative one is the one that actually calls for transformation. That is the one that challenges our worldviews. The way we look at things, it challenges our behavior. That's where the transformation takes place. So this particular person will not say, don't speak to me like that. No. They understand that people don't know how to talk. So they'll listen to the message, get the message, respond to the message, and appreciate that this other person, they have communication challenges, and I cannot go to town to make that an agenda. Because suppose a person is sight challenged, they are blind. Even if you tell them 20 million times that you are blind, that is not going to change anything. And this is why sometimes communication is a problem, because we want to major in don't speak to me like that. I'm not saying people should be rude. I'm not saying, but if they are you not able to sit down and say, much as these people are speaking this way, but because I am liberated in my mind, I am not afraid of negativity, I can actually benefit from it. Then you can actually glean the gold from the mud. It's possible. It can be done, friends. And it will not be fair for me to end this session without also saying this, that look, many people may actually misread what I am saying. And it could be very true that a lot of viewers have actually gone to certain conclusions where I have not been. And it's something like, when we say be truthful and be honest to your feelings, be liberated and liberate others, the tendency is to feel like you need to be rough. You need to be courageously rude. And it does not matter how you speak and how you say it and where you say it, for as long as you have got the courage to say it. Friends, this is not what I am saying. I have not said that. I've said be courageous, liberate your mind, be free, respect your thoughts and your feelings, and be willing to tell the world the truth about how you feel. That's what I'm saying. But when you are courageous to pull down people, to condemn people in the name of I am telling the truth, then it fulfills something that I hate, which says sometimes there's a thin line between courage and stupidity. Courage that does not respect people may actually be stupidity in itself. Courage that pulls down people, courage that does not respect authority, courage that does not respect the timing of when something should be discussed, courage that does not respect the location where something ought to be discussed, courage that does not care about the audience who is around to hear what I am saying, for as long as I have told you the truth. That truth is careless and cannot be said by a liberated mind. A liberated mind can actually say the truth, and they can actually be very firm in their smile, in their calmness. When they exude anger, they are doing it so fittingly, the other person gets the message and the benefit from it. That's what we are talking about. Being liberated means you are able to respect your people, respect others, and yet at the same time, you respect the truth. You respect truthfulness. That's what we are talking about. It's not about shouting at people. It's not about screaming at people. It's not about blaming and condemning people. That's not being truthfulness. That's not being liberated. Liberated people don't fear their feelings. Liberated people don't fear their thoughts. Liberated people are calculative. They are tactful. They know how to express themselves at a time when they can be most effective. That's what they do. But when you go to low self-esteem, which then becomes on the negative side of things, where we feel like people get changed when we shout at them, when we blame them, when we condemn them. Yeah, I'm telling the truth. For as long as I'm telling the truth, it does not matter. Truth is painful. Truth is painful when it is said by foolish people. Why should truth be painful? Why make truth painful? Why can't truth be caring and loving and yet remaining truthful? I really want to thank you for listening. Tonight. I know that in our future discussion, we are now going to, we want to address exactly how do you air out something truthfully, very firm, and real to yourself, and at the same time people are respected and what have you. But if they choose to be offended, it is basically something that you have no control over. You have no control over that. But you will have done your best to respect them, and yet you remain true. Let me end with this very short story in a few seconds. I worked in the kingdom of Eswatini or Swaziland. It used to be called the kingdom of Swaziland, and what have you. I'm sure there's someone from Swaziland who is listening. I found their police officers then, I don't know whether they've changed. Those guys were polite and loving, and yet they'll give you a ticket. The guy is cracking jokes. You're also laughing at their jokes, and they're respecting you, Muruti, pastor, and what have you, and you think like, I'm forgiven. No, you committed a crime on the road, your speed was high, The guy will laugh at you and they'll give you a ticket happily. That's what a liberated person does. They can stand their ground when they are still laughing. They can stand their ground when they're calm. They can stand their ground when they're choosing the right words to communicate to the other person, but without sacrificing principle. Without sacrificing principle. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord bless you. The whole idea of this channel is experience your full humanity. That's why I have this channel here. Experience the gift God has given you. God has given you a mind to think. So think and tell us what you are thinking. God has given us feelings. So feel and tell us exactly how you are feeling. And be ready also to entertain the thoughts of others and the feelings of others. When you do that, you are a liberated family. You are a liberated person. Communication is communication. When my inner thoughts and my inner feelings are sent to the other person truthfully, without being distorted, and the other person understands how I am feeling and how I'm thinking. And then we can deal with the reality on the table of this is how I feel about this. This is what I think about this, truthfully, without me lying to myself. Fear destroys communication. Low self-esteem destroys communication. Avoidance destroys communication. The computer mentality, Mr. Right, Mrs. Right, destroys communication. But communication is communication when every one of us are true ambassadors of what is happening in their inner self, and they can take it out as it is and help some people out there to appreciate that this is Pastor Ngwaru, this is how I feel about this, and this is how I think about this, and I'm being honest to myself, I'm honest to every one of you, and I want every one of you to be honest with me. When we do that, what a wonderful world this will be. May God bless you, and remember to subscribe to Let's Talk with Pastor Ngwaru YouTube channel, and follow us on Let's Talk with Pastor Ngwaru Facebook page. This is your page, and we are aiming to make it a channel of preference for human development. Until next Thursday, it has been a joy to have you around. Thank you for listening. And I think I've challenged you to go to books, to researches, and other sources to find out and discover how best you can communicate in a liberating manner. God bless you. Thank you.